Welcome to the First Watch podcast. My name is Drake. I will be your host for this podcast. I will be joined by a rotating group of friends who come together and discuss their first watches, whether they be from the 1920s, the 2020s, or anything in between. Now, this is going to be a spoiler heavy podcast, so if you haven't watched the movie already, you could either do one of two things. You could either, one, join us for the conversation and decide whether or not you want to watch the movie for the very first time, or two, you can pause this podcast, go watch the movie for the first time, and then come back and join us for the conversation. Now, without further ado, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and enjoy the combo. Hello, and welcome to the First Watch podcast. Usually, on this podcast, we talk about movies that people have not seen for the very first time and kind of get their opinions on movies that they've been meaning to get off of their watch list. But for the second time on this podcast, we have actually gotten someone or two people on the podcast that have made their own film. Uh, I've heard about their film for a while through film Twitter. They kind of had friends of friends that were talking about it for a while, and I reached out and I asked them if I could watch it. And they recently just had it aired in a local theater, I believe in Alabama, right? Yeah. And yeah, they made a movie called Somnia. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Josie and Mitchell. Do you guys want to say hi and kind of talk about what your movie is about? Oh, I think you're muted. Hold on, let me double check and make sure everything's.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. My name is Mitchell. I wrote the movie. It is about a woman who has recently lost her mother, and she is an insomniac, but she's able to cure her insomnia through a medication. And then when she's able to finally sleep, she can see her mother in her dreams, and it makes her want to kind of stay asleep forever. Makes her want to ignore her kind of waking life in exchange for her dreams or her asleep life.
As someone who lost a parent last year, I like really resonated with the premise because I kind of felt that way whenever I would go to sleep. I'd be like, "Hey, I hope I can see them in my dreams." That's one of those things that you kind of at least what I was thinking during that time. So that really resonated with me, and I thought that was really cool. How long did it take for you to write this film?
I wrote it a couple years ago as a stage play for a contest. A local theater was putting on a contest where if you've entered a stage play and you won, they would put it on. I spent probably 6 months working on it as a play script, and then when we decided to turn it into a movie, I had to kind of rewrite the whole thing. The nature of a stage play is that you want to have as few characters, or at least I did, as few characters and as few set pieces as possible. A movie, that's not what we were wanting, so I had to rewrite the whole thing, and that took another several months.
Nice. Yeah, I really liked the script. I thought it was really well done.
Thank you.
I like I said, I enjoyed the premise. Did you know everybody that you had casted in this or cast in this film, or were these just people that you had kind of put out on a casting call
We
and ended up finding them?
we didn't know in any, but we knew a few of the extras. But other than that, all the main cast we had never met before. We put out a casting call through a friend of ours who's really involved in like local theater. Our town has a really big theater population, and so we figured that was our best bet. And she put out a word. She was like, "Hey, some friends of mine want to do a movie. They're looking for some actors." And within like a week, we had like 10 video like or like emails with people interested, and then we sent the scripts out, and then a few of those people got back to us, and then a lot of them sent in video auditions, and we were very like surprised by the amount of interest from people we'd never met who were interested in a very indie budget that at the time they didn't know, like, will I get paid, how long will this take? And so yeah, we met them all for the first time at a table read. So
That's really cool.
Mhm.
I don't know where you found Mary from, but I really enjoyed her performance. Um, she's definitely the backbone of the entire thing. The whole thing is centered around her anyways
Mhm.
and her character, but, like, in order for you to really care about the material, she has to be able to give a good portrayal
Mhm.
of what's going on in the film, and she does.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know where you found her, but I really liked what she did in the film. I said this in my Letterboxd review that I did, um, but this felt like your guys's Slacker, and that it's going to be like the base for what you guys do from now on. Um, it I don't know, it was a true indie movie, um, and I I just loved every bit of it. I didn't like Paul's character, I will say. The second that he showed up and started talking, I was like, "Dude, I don't like you." I'm sure what's his name is a good dude. I think his name is Roy,
Roy,
right?
yeah, he's
I'm
great.
sure he's a great dude, right? Hated Paul. The the second he started talking to Claire, I was like, I don't like you." I'm like, "I already know what your intentions are, and I don't like them. Like, you're an ass." There's so many themes that you could actually talk about this movie. A lot of it being um, disability, which technically, I mean, that's what insomnia is, right? There's a disability that someone is going through, mostly because of anxiety or depression or all of these things. There's so many different factors that go into insomnia. Is that something that either one of you had dealt with in the past, or?
I personally haven't.
I've not dealt with insomnia. A lot of the idea of sort of mental disorder that I get from it is actually a compulsion that I have and I struggle with it to sleep all the time. And it's it's not to for because I want to like dream or anything like that, but depression and things like that, it does make me really want to sleep. So when I was conceptualizing it, even before I thought of the idea of someone curing their insomnia, I wanted to make a movie about somebody whose depression impacted their own life and impacted everyone in their immediate vicinity's lives to the point where it was really inconveniencing them.
Yeah, and I think you guys do a great job of that. There are a lot of kind of centered around disability, and I've talked about this with other people that at least in America, I know the UK is a little bit better about this, but in America, a lot of movies centered around disability are very much like, I don't know if hokey is the right word, but a lot of the writing is very just kind of plain Jane. And it's very surface level. You guys go a little bit deeper than that. And as someone who is disabled, I have mild cerebral palsy. I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that you guys kind of dive deeper into that and how it affects everyone else around you. Um, I, as much as I hated Paul as a person, I liked the fact that you guys kind of had that underlying theme of how spouses who don't understand what is going on, or partners who don't understand what is going on and is unwilling to accept a lot of the things that are going on with people with disabilities would end up acting um and kind of just being an ass. That isn't really touched on a lot in films, and I'm really glad that you guys did that. um and as much as I didn't like Paul's character, Roy did a good job of portraying that as well. Where did that little storyline come from? And, like, whenever you kinda came up with this, where did that storyline come from?
So the original idea was I wanted to make a play about a woman who was sleeping all the time. The problem with that is what are you watching when someone's asleep? So I tried to think of other plot lines, other people to follow while Jenny's character was asleep. And that's where I got her husband, I got her daughter, who we tried to show through not showing her on camera, and then Claire, because one of the things when if someone's absent, like Jenny's absent, one of the things that the people in their life are missing is companionship. So I thought that if Paul lost his companionship with Jenny to her mental disorder, her depression, her sleep, I wondered where else he would be able to find it.
Yeah. I think that does happen quite a bit in just in everyday life. Like you'll see a lot of people if someone starts to disconnect, you'll see others kind of try to find that connection elsewhere. I'm just glad that it happened and it was centered around a disabled story because like I said, it doesn't really happen that often, but it shows that people can be kind of assholes in relationships when they are unwilling to be understanding towards things like insomnia, like other disabilities. How much research went into insomnia itself? Like whenever you guys had that scene um with the psychiatrist and you guys listed off like 30
Yeah.
medications, I was like, I've tried 2 of these. The rest of them, I don't know if they're real, but it seems like they are.
Yeah.
How much research did you guys do into, like, trying to make sure that at least a lot of the stuff that was being portrayed medically was somewhat accurate for the film?
All those medications are real, except for the very last one she lists. But as far as medical accuracy, I was really more focused on the dreamlike quality. Something I like in a lot of the movies that I watch, and something I was going for in this one is crazy things will happen and people around it just accept it. And we're kind of relying on the audience to just accept it when something insane happens. So if something doesn't follow a natural, like a realistic, it doesn't follow the expectations realistically or a traditional train of thought, I just want everybody to keep on, just to follow through with it as the movie logic rather than get it caught up and have to carry the baggage of sort of these real world expectations. So I wasn't worried if logistically something didn't make any sense or if something wasn't completely accurate medically, as long as it emotionally made sense to the characters and to the themes.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. In that case, it really did make sense. All of it did. There's nothing that really stood out to me where I was like, that's weird." But I did enjoy the switch between the reality and dream sequences. A lot of times in lesser films, you'll get like this weird like YouTubey type feeling where they're trying to delineate between reality and dream and they'll start to do some weird like YouTubey music to shift from one thing
Mhm.
to another. I will
Oh,
get to
yeah.
the music here in a second. And I loved the music, by the way. Mitchell, are you the one that actually did the all of the music? Like, you did the composition of the music?
Yes,
Yes.
the score. I wrote the score and then I also played the piano and guitar for it.
That's crazy, because it was really good.
Oh,
I was
thank you.
like,
Thank you very much.
I'm a sucker for scores.
Mhm.
I have plenty of them on vinyl. Like,
For sure.
I used them to, calm down during surgeries. I was like, if a film score isn't good, then and if I can notice that it isn't good, then I'm gonna have a problem. Like, the piano and stuff was great. I love the piano parts in this. It was fantastic. I was like, "Oh, nice. I enjoyed that." So I lost my train of thought, but I did wanna touch on that anyways. But yeah, you guys going from reality to dream didn't sound or didn't feel very hokey, which I liked. It like you said, you have to rely on the fact that the audience is smart enough to be able to make that distinction fairly quickly. Um, and then from then on out, we know that as soon as we go into that dream sequence, that she's asleep.
Mhm.
The part that it's really cool when that happens is at the end. And I'll okay. First, whenever Jenny was at work and she didn't come home in time to help with the planning of the party, I was like, okay, she probably fell asleep. And then the call came in that a state trooper or a trooper called to say that she was in a car accident, my very first thought, I don't know if other people have told you this, but my very first thought was, "These fuckers put her in a coma." I'm like, "They put her into a terrible sleep." And I was like, "Okay, maybe that's where this is going," because I had no idea where it was going. A lot of times you can kind of piece things together and figure out how it was gonna, play out.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. And I was like, "Okay, maybe this is where it's going." Didn't happen, so I was like, "Okay, very strange, but I kinda like that." I like that it didn't do that. And then whenever we get to the end of the movie, when she was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna go lay down." And she lays down, and then Claire shows up while her mother is right there. I was like, what's going on?" I'm like, "This is weird." I don't like Claire because she was a butthead.
Right.
I mean, I like Claire, but I don't like
Mm.
Claire because she's just as bad as Paul, um, if not worse.
Mm.
But I did think that was really cool that you guys did that, and then I had to sit there and think, I was like, "Okay, wait, what's going on here?" And then she was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm dead." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I did not expect that, and that's awesome.
Mm.
That shows that a little bit of thought, really went into the movie, and a lot of indie movies, you don't get, like, a lot of, creative ideas, uh, and the fact that you guys pulled that off and did it well is awesome. I liked the way how do you say her name? Is it Daphne? Defna?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I loved I loved her acting, she was great. She seemed to kind of enjoy, like, the whole, process and, like, being in the movie and stuff. Um, yeah, she did a really good job, and I don't like their relationship, uh, Paul and Claire's relationship, because I think they're assholes.
Yeah.
They're both assholes. But I I felt like they had some pretty good chemistry, like, while you guys were making the movie. Did you notice, like, certain natural bits of chemistry between actors as you were going? Like, first of all, how long did it take for you guys to shoot this entirely?
We started filming last summer, so we started shooting, I wanna say, the weekend after the 4th of July, and we shot until 1st-ish weekend of September, I think. I think we like, our last shoot was the 1st weekend of September, so not too long. And then as far as natural chemistry, it's funny because Roy, who plays Paul, actually recommended Defna to the script, like, she told her about it, and so they already knew each other. And then when we were on set, they were already friends, so they actually did have a very, like, natural chemistry already. Really
Yeah,
good banter, super friendly, and so it actually worked out really well that they were supposed to have a closer relationship throughout the movie because I think that came really naturally to them. They were every time we were cutting, they're laughing, she's making fun of him for something, blah, 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 blah. Whereas Mary didn't know them as well, and so there was already a natural distance, and I think it helped a little bit with the filming, so
that's cool. Um, Josie, you're a first-time director.
yes,
What was it like
it's good.
being a first-time director?
I've actually directed a short film before for our productions, and but this being the first big one, it was very nerve-wracking. It was a really big learning, like, process for me, gaining confidence and, like, telling people what to do and, like, actually commanding a scene and directing a scene and, you know, trying not to just say, "Oh, well, Mitchell, you can just do it. It's, you wrote the script, you do it." And so it was a really big learning curve, but when it was all said and done, I had, the time of my life. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of it. It wasn't always like easy, and there were definitely like days where we were on set for hours and hours and hours, and like something goes wrong. It's so easy to just be like, well, I could just not finish the movie. And that happened once or twice. So there was one day where we had to reshoot like what, two scenes
Yeah,
all the way
big
through
scenes.
because there was some continuity stuff which was not prepared for that being like the biggest thing in a film. You think like, oh, the hardest part is casting or locations. It was actually just figuring out what everybody wore every day, what they wore the day before, what the set looked like the day before. Did we write that down? Blah, 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 blah. And so, it's like powering through when you really want to just like call it quits because it's a lot. But I mean, it was a blast. I loved it. I can't wait to make another one. So
Yeah, how many hats did you guys wear? Because obviously you guys didn't have, like, a script supervisor
So
that would help you. Ho like, what was the crew size?
so I was director. Mitchell was like kind of co-directing the whole thing. He was the script supervisor.
Yeah.
We had our family. So he has one, two, three, four. His family of four running, holding like lights and what do you call that thing?
Like diffusion.
Like diffusion
for the
and all this other
lights.
stuff for the lights. And then we had some of our closest friends also helping us when like the family couldn't. So they would swap in and out. We would say, "Hey, here's the dates we have. Who can help us?" And they helped us unpaid, just labor of love to
And
shoot this.
we were cinematographers.
We were also the cinematographers.
We sort of switched off holding the cameras and things like that.
And then of course Mitchell edited the whole thing himself, color graded it, edited it a million times. He was so tired of watching the film by the time it was done. And so yeah, no, it was we were wearing a bunch of hats, but we also had
Yeah, we had about 6 people probably on set at all times to help us with everything.
Did either one of you go to school for
taller than
this
you.
at all?
No, neither of
Yeah.
us
No?
did.
I was an English major in college, so I did some creative writing stuff. But as far as film, neither of us did.
No, he's a English major with a music minor, and I had a theology degree with a music minor. So nothing
Interesting.
relating to film. But some of the best directors didn't go to film school, so I
True.
I feel like I'm in good company. Not that I'm at
Yeah.
their level
Oh,
yet, but I'd like to think that maybe one day someone will
you'll
say
get
that.
there. No, you'll get there. Where did you guys learn it all then? Because a lot of people, who are part of Film Twitter they're all trying to, like, do the thing that you guys did. You actually did the damn thing. So, where did you guys, like, learn how to do all this stuff other than trial by fire? I mean, that's obviously the best way to do it, is to kind of learn as you go. But what steps did you take to kind of get there?
Composing shots, we would just take notes when we were watching movies. And the same thing for editing. So I would look at how many shots were made up of one scene, how many times the camera cut, which angles they would use specifically, where music would come in, how loud the music would come in, lighting techniques. Also, watch like master class stuff on YouTube of how to light a scene. I still have I have no idea what the 180 rule is. I hear that I assume that maybe we're doing it just sort of naturally, but I don't know what it is. So there's a lot of stuff like that we don't know, but we're trying. My sort of philosophy is that everybody kind of rips off other things that they like, but if you like enough things, if you watch enough movies and read enough scripts and books, then your influences, you have so many influences that you're not ripping off one thing. You're actually creating your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we just watch so many
We really
movies.
do.
And yeah, the biggest thing we learned, our next movie is going to be nothing like this one because we feel like we've learned so much and we're going to do everything so differently. But this was a really great way to learn how to make a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you already started to kind of put those pieces in place for the second film?
Mhm.
We already have a script and a mood board and a pitch deck. It's a little bit of a bigger film, so it's gonna cost a little more money and just take a little more time. But that also means that we want, not that we didn't take our time making Somnia, but Somnia was
Yeah.
it being the first film. Like he said, there's just so much that we look back and we're like, oh, we should have done it this way. It could have been better, or it could have been this. And so we're excited to like really take our time, and also now we know actors and like maybe be have a bigger pool to pull from. It's a bigger cast for the next film. But yeah, so we're in like pre-production for that, and then we're also
Nice.
in pre-production for a short film that we want to work on that's like essentially no budget. It's just something to do in between to keep creativity flowing and to keep people kind of like interested in our productions and like seeing what we're doing, and also just like to stay in the craft. So
Yeah.
we're hoping
Keep it going.
yeah, we're hoping to start making that soon.
Hell yeah. Um, how did you guys get the budget for Somnia and now for your other stuff? A lot of the like small production stuff isn't really talked about whenever people are kind of in film. I think Kevin Smith is really the only one that's talked about like how he got the money to
Yeah.
make his stuff. How did you guys go about getting the means necessary to make this stuff?
So a majority of it we did from our own pocket, and then I also did a GoFundMe and just on a whim put it on Twitter because I happen to have built a really cool community on there, and I had incredible like support from quite a few of my Twitter friends who were all in the credits. Everyone who donated got to be in the credits of the film, so like that was really exciting. You might have seen some names, and so that was really cool and like a real blessing, especially considering none of them have met me. And then we also had a few people from like locally here, like people that we know that also donated towards the film to help with the remaining bit of the budget. So that was the bulk of it. It was just people helping and us. It was a real crowdfunded crowdfunded film.
And the real reason we didn't need a huge budget is because every location we shot in was free.
Yeah, we lucked out that way.
We were able to, we built a good relationship with the restaurant owners for the places we shot. We shot in my aunt's house. That was where Jenny and Paul lived.
Shot in a friend's house.
Yeah, a friend's house for the kind of the epilogue Paul scene.
Grandparents' backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. We knew that no matter what we did, we weren't going to be able to get much money at all. We don't have much money, but we don't know anybody with a ton of money. So we kind of went into it knowing that and really looking for ways to make the budget as small as possible.
Yeah.
While also being able to compensate the actors.
Yeah, that was our biggest thing.
adequately.
Was we were like, I will thrift, I will do whatever to do costuming or props and stuff. We just wanted to be able to pay our actors and our actors and even some of the extras as much as we could. And so we were able to do that. And so that was really nice. And so now that we've had a little success and more success than we thought we would off of Somnia, we hope to do that even better with the next film. So
Yeah, what are you guys like reaching out to people instead of doing crowdfunded for the next one? Or are you like reaching out to get loans or
We're reaching out to producers.
hopefully, yeah.
okay.
Reach out to
And we probably will do the crowdfunding thing again. But now that some people have seen the movie, we do have a way to reach out to a few producers who might want to help us out. And
That's cool.
that's the good thing
Yeah.
of having like a proof that the movie works.
Yeah.
Because for this one, we were like, we're gonna make a movie, and a lot of people were kind of like, no, you're not.
But here's some
But now,
Yeah.
we can say we made a movie. It showed in theaters. It made X amount of money. X amount of people saw it. Here's a few like news articles written about it, things like that. Here's some stills. Here's the trailer. Here's the film. Now we do have a way to prove to people that if they donated to it, the money would go somewhere. So that helps us out a lot.
How did you guys get it into your local theater? Is that local theater like is it one that shows indie films like this, or did you have a relationship with someone who worked there? How did that come about?
That is the theater that Josie and I went to our first date at several
That's
years
awesome.
ago. And it used to be a movie theater, and they would play all kinds of stuff. We went and saw The Favorite, the Yorgos movie in 2019.
Yeah, that's the first movie we saw there, or that I saw there.
And but then it went out of business for a little while, and it came back, and now it's a comedy club. But Mary, who plays Jenny, she knows the owner of the place's dad, and I got his email through her, and he sent me to a different email, and I just reached out and I said, hey, by that time we already had a trailer and an IMDb page and Letterboxd page and whatever. And I just sent him all our stuff, and I pitched it to him, and he's like, "Yeah, that sounds good." But this will be the first local film they've showed. One thing that really helped us a lot make this movie is that nobody makes local movies around here.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was really novel, and everybody was kind of happy to help just because they wanted a local movie to be made. And that was the case for sure with showing it. They thought it was a cool opportunity to premiere a local film. So everybody was super on board.
That's awesome. What was that feeling like, sitting down and having people around you, people that helped you with the film that you love, that you may not even know, sitting down and watching a feature film that you guys put together?
It was surreal. It was insane. Especially like we watched the whole movie in the first showing, and then we snuck into the second one. Not snuck, but like we like kind of stood in the wings of the second one and listening. And that one was so the first one was filled with we had cast and crew in that one, and like that's most of like our family and friends and people tried to come to the first one because it was earlier. And so the second one, we were looking around and we didn't know like half of that theater at all, maybe even three quarters. And so that was really cool because I was like, I don't know who these people are. And that means that they were just there. And listening to them like laugh at stuff and reacting to things that I didn't think that they would react to, gasping, stuff like that. It was incredibly surreal. It was like I felt like kind of like I was in a dream the whole night. So
Luckily, Josie had seen the movie several times because I'm not sure she was able to watch it the whole time. She was kind of wrapped around my arm looking at me.
so I was anxious to show it.
We would know what the next part that was coming up, and the crowd was so vocal and reactive. Like, oh, what are they going to think of this?
I was so nervous for people to see it. So, yeah, so I was like anxious the entire time.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of your baby, right? You spent so much time on it and so much effort on it, and you're finally putting it out to the world, and now you're just like, "Well, shit.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this is good."
Yeah,
That's gotta be an insane feeling.
It was.
I don't feel this way anymore, but when we were talking about the premiere, Josie's like, "What if somebody comes up to you and says the movie's awful?" I thought, well, I think I'd punch him in the mouth because the movie just means so much to me. But we had a really positive reception to it at the event, so that was really nice.
Yeah, and I noticed that there was quite I don't know if these were mostly the people that you've kind of come in contact with film Twitter and stuff, but, like, even on Twitter, people had quite the positive reception that everybody wanted to see it. Again, that's how I came to know of it, and that's how I found out who you were and everything, is because everybody that I kind of run in circles with all wanted to see it too. And then I had seen that you were talking about it, and I was very interested in it. What was that kind of reception like too? Was that just like, oh, like, this community that I've become a part of, they want to see something that I made
Yeah.
just because I've been talking about
Yeah.
movies.
I feel very honestly, the reception from Twitter almost made me more emotional than the reception for people in my real life because they don't know me. And the internet can be such a terrible, evil, evil place, and I have found just the exact opposite of that on Twitter, which is another ironic thing because a lot of people have left Twitter and blah blah blah. But there's this core there of people who haven't left, and it's very magical. It's a safe space for me, and having people donate to the movie and talk about it. I got to send a screener to a few people on there as well, and having them be just actually like it because I didn't at any point expect people to like give it a good rating just because they knew me online. So like reading people's reviews and from people who just really liked it, and I was telling Mitchell, I was like, that's the thing. I was like, these are movie people, and I think at the end of the day, I knew that they would view it seriously because they like movies, and that it's as simple as that. They know film, they like it, they actually watch movies, whereas a lot of the people that hear in our personal lives that watched it, it's like the first movie they'd seen in months. We live in a community where we don't know a ton of people who watch a lot of movies, which is fine. And so having the people on there be so interested in it, having people save it to Letterboxd lists. It's meant a lot to me, and I'm really excited for it to finally be available for people to like rent and to watch because I'm excited for more people to see it. I wish I could send free screeners to everybody, but I'm so excited for people to watch it because their reception has meant just the absolute world to me. I even had one of my Twitter friends fly out to Mobile to see it. And so I got to meet
That's
him for
awesome.
the first time. And then of course, Seth was in it and you know him. And so yeah, it's meant a lot. So it's incredible. And like also just building connections through that, like through talking about film with them and like Seth being in the movie, I got to be one of the first people to read Seth and Michelle's script. They're working on a movie and building those connections, I can tell is just going to be fruitful in the future and it's very exciting. So
Yeah, the film community on Twitter has a lot of flaws. I will be very wary to say what those are, but there is also a very tight knit community,
Mhm.
which is really cool. Like you said, there are people that we all kind of talk to that all love movies,
Mhm.
and they were all the ones that were like, "Hey,
Mhm.
I want to see this thing," and that's such a cool thing to see, like happen in a small community that normally can be rather toxic at times.
Mhm.
So I could only imagine that it was really cool to have everybody reach out to you and be so just happy and excited to see something like this
Mhm.
play out. I I forgot that Seth was in it, and it freaked me out. I was like, "Ah, Seth."
He is it's just you have to like know his face to actually see him because he's gone in a flash. He's there and he's gone.
He only needs to be in it for a few seconds anyway. That's all we need him for. He doesn't need to be in it all that long.
He sent
Um
so much like of he had to video himself for that, and so he sent so many videos in. He was so professional about it because he knows how to edit things, and he's had to edit videos, so he knew what all Mitchell would need. He's like, "Here's 50 takes of me saying this one line. Please use whatever you want." So,
That can be both awesome and just overwhelming at the same time, where
mhm,
it's like, "Thanks, man. Thank you
yeah.
for that." What was it like working with each other? I mean, not a lot of couples actually work together on
Mhm.
films. What was that whole process like? Was it fun? Was it stressful? Was it
I think
crazy?
a little bit of both. I you when you're working in close proximity with someone who you also like live with and spend day to day with, the tensions definitely get high when just like I said, when the day is long and everything seems to be going wrong. So times like that got really tough, but also it was really fun. And it's also fun because at the end of the day we've worked on the movie together, then we get to drive home together and talk about it and dissect it together, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you guys plan to do, I mean, you already said that you plan to do multiple movies together. Do you plan on, working together for pretty much your entire careers?
Yeah, I
I
would.
mean, because you guys obviously have a fruitful career
yeah, no, I
coming.
I can't see not working
No,
together.
I would never want to write a movie if Josie wasn't going to direct it. I wouldn't want to write a script for anybody else.
I think
That's awesome.
we're just we're kind of in it together now. So we're both stuck with each other.
Mhm.
How much input did each other have in this whole process?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Pretty
in
equal?
every single aspect, we were both sort of weighing in. Of course, the sort of unspoken rule, or maybe vaguely spoken, is that when it came to matters of the script, I had the final say, and then I guess any other matter, Josie had the final say because she was the director.
Yeah.
So when it came to like things like specific lines of dialogue, she's like, "I think you should cut this." I'm like, "I don't think I
Hmm.
should cut this." We talk about that. But if it was something like set dressing, specific line deliveries,
Hmm.
blocking, camera angles, Josie always had the final say. But it was everything was an open dialogue, and
Yeah.
we both are very opinionated about. We're very opinionated about what this movie was going to be. So we talked about all of it a lot.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I imagine you guys plan to get this out. You said that you're excited for people to be able to rent this and kind of do stuff like that. Uh, do you guys have a plan to release this kind of wider?
So
What is that process like?
currently, it is still entered into a couple of more
Yeah, if you
a few more festivals because we entered into quite a few, And I think the last of those should be done in August. And once they're done, whether it gets in or doesn't, we are going to first put it on probably like Vimeo to rent, to try to make us a little bit more money off of it to put into, the fun for the next one. But then we hope to also put it on Tubi. We love Tubi. I love being able for people to be able to watch things for free. So that's a little bit longer of a process. So we'll go to Vimeo first, and then eventually, once it gets approved and everything, yes, it will also go to we're going to make a DVD. We already have one, and we're going to do pre-orders for that. So we'll probably do that around the time we do the Vimeo thing, and then eventually we'll go to TV. So
I'm not shocked that you guys are doing that, because I know that you guys are physical media fan. Obviously, from your background, we can see that. You got quite the score yesterday, it seems, at Goodwill, the time that we're recording this. I'm glad that you guys are doing a physical release, especially for an indie film, because I'm sure that would, like you said, really help out with a lot of the funds and stuff for the next one. What was it like trying to get this film into film festivals? How did you guys go about that? Did you just reach out? Did you?
Yeah, we're on Film Freeway, which is, I guess, sort of the industry standard for submitting films to festivals. And it's an easy process, but it is tough to get selected for anything.
yeah,
Yeah, and you have to. It's sort of expensive, and you have to
competition.
be very selective with where you submit to, and they all have pretty specific rules, which is why we can't release it yet, because a lot of the festivals we submitted to, their rule is that you can't have an internet release or a wide physical release. You can only have a premiere, and most of the time you can't have a premiere in that specific city. You have to have a premiere elsewhere. So like we're trying to get into like a Dallas festival. We can have an Alabama premiere, but we can't have a Texas premiere at all until the festival takes place.
That's very odd.
There's so there's so many rules. There's also so many more film festivals than I ever thought was possible. You hear about the big ones, but there's so many. And so obviously Somnia was just our first film, but it's still fun to put yourself out there. And now we also know how all that works. So now we're going to be even better prepared for the next time. So
yeah, I feel like Somnia would do well at like the Atlanta Film Festival. I don't know if you guys have looked at them or if you guys already have it planned to go out to them, but I feel like it would work well there. I think it's really cool that you guys get to go into a festival. I wish I can go out to one of these festivals and go see it. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm very glad that we got to do this. And it's a little different from what I normally do, but I'm glad that I got to reach out to you guys and talk to you guys about this whole process, and I feel that I had fun with this. Is there anything that you guys want to shout out?
I mean, if people want to stay in the loop with whatever we're doing next, we have an Instagram and a Facebook, both under, I can't remember what it is. Fort
Stoweville Productions.
It's Fort Stoweville Productions on Instagram and on Facebook. And then we are in the process of making a website. And of course we have a YouTube channel. It's also Fort Stoweville. And that's where you can find the trailers for Somnia. If people want to watch it and to see if they're even interested in watching the movie when it comes out, as well as our short films and other stuff. So
cool. Yeah, I'll make sure that I have all of that in there. Normally, with the normal format of this podcast, I like to ask people one movie that they had seen that they think other people should see for the first time because it doesn't get enough attention or love. Do you guys, outside of Somnia, obviously, do you guys both have a movie in mind?
You have first something in mind.
Let's see.
I know you're gonna steal mine though.
No, if you want to get in the headspace to watch Somnia, a very underappreciated movie is Sometimes I Think About Dying. 2020, is that right? Sometimes I Think About Dying. It's based on a short film, but the feature stars Daisy Ridley, and it is brilliant. And it is a heavy, heavy inspiration for us. Obviously, the plot's very different. The tone, 2023. The plot's very different. The tone is very different. But Daisy Ridley gives a great performance. One that I would compare to Mary Estelle Steinbaugh's Insomnia. So I think that's a good litmus test. If you watch Sometimes I Think About Dying, which everybody should, If it really, really resonates with you, then you might also like Somnia.
A film. I'm just gonna sound so basic and so again. The film that I'm gonna recommend is one that it's not necessarily underrated, but I feel like it was only in theaters for like a second. And it is the movie that when we watched it in theaters, we didn't know anything about it. And after we saw it, it was the very pivotal moment of saying, hey, I want to make a movie like this that makes me feel the way that this movie does. And from there, we literally, like a month or so later, started working on Somnia, and that is Ghostlight from 2024. It's one of the best films I've ever seen, ever. It has a father, mother, daughter trio in it, and it's incredible. And it is like everything that I ever would want a movie to be. So quite a few of like my friends on Twitter have seen it, but I feel like as a whole, so many people have not seen it, and I think everyone should. So
Okay. I'm gonna ask one more question because I'm curious. This is kind of how I get to know people. Is I ask, is there a movie that you have seen in your life that has changed either the way that you view yourself or the world around you?
oh, that's a really good question.
Hmm.
Hmm. Thinking.
Maybe at the Crescent Theater, where we premiered our movie a few years ago, we saw Nomadland when it first came out.
2020.
And I feel like obviously anytime something wins Best Picture at the Oscars, there's like this sort of cultural backlash to it. It's like this pushback because the movie that other people wanted to win Best Picture didn't. But that movie did fundamentally alter the way that I think about just what it means to be a person outside of culture or society or the economy or capitalism, what it just means to be a human being. I mean,
Okay.
that's not a sad movie per se, and I was bawling the whole time I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't seen it yet, so I may have to do that.
You really should. It's incredible. I'm really trying to think of mine. Movies like this, I mean, questions like this always like paralyze me.
Me too.
It's like being asked your favorite movie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I know.
no, it's a good question, and I'm like really thinking. Can you repeat the question so I can think about it in my head?
Yeah.
You said
Is there a movie that you have watched that has changed the way you view your own life or the world around you?
a movie. All my movies I'm saying are recent, but a movie that is a like I watched in the last couple of years that kind of like it felt like someone knocked the breath out of me. And I can't explain it, but I was like going through stuff mentally at the time. But that would be what do you call it? A Petit Maman. It's a French
Okay.
film. It's like really short. It was recommended to me by a friend. I hadn't like heard too much about it because it didn't play here because the movie theaters here hate to play foreign films. And so I missed it and it was recommended and my friend was like, "Hey, it's only like 70 or 80 minutes long, which is I'm already sold on it." And I watched it and it was just the most beautiful little story that was kind of high concept, but in a way that it never like held your hand and tried to over explain stuff. It just this is what it is. I'm not gonna explain it to you because it's assuming that the audience isn't stupid and that they will know what's happening, and which is like we said, we tried to take that approach into Somnia, and but when I watched it, it was
We also had a young mother talking to an older daughter.
yeah, it was just like it was just like it was a lot. It's very heavy. It was, but also it was so emotional and so lighthearted, high concept but simple. It was like everything all rolled into one, and it's a beautiful film while also only being like 80 minutes long. And I was like,
Yeah.
"See, like, you don't have to overcomplicate film at all." And so that movie really, really moved me when I watched it. And I recently actually got to get it on DVD, so now I have it. And but yeah, I think that's my answer. Those are very hard questions.
Sorry.
It's
Um,
okay.
no, yeah.
Do you have
That
a
you've given me 2 that I need to. Say what?
Do you have an answer that you usually give to people?
All that jazz. Yep.
Okay.
All
Okay.
that jazz. Yeah, I watched it for the first time last year. It was like I made the mistake of watching the movie right after my dad died, like maybe 2 weeks after my dad died. And I was already in this like whirl of where my head was of
Mm.
like what my life was, like whether or not, I had a direction in life, all that
Mhm.
shit, right? And like major alcoholic, was drinking my days away. And then I watched that movie and I went, "Oh fuck." And it just kind of, I don't know what it did, but there was something in my head that it kind of was like, maybe I need to like figure this whole life thing out. Like maybe I need to like look at my life a little bit differently.
Mm.
And that's what like switched, like flipped a switch in my head
Yeah.
where I was like, "Oh shit." And that's where that question then came from, because I had that and I was like, "Ooh, I wonder if other people have movies like that
Mhm.
where they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is what really changed something for me." The whole concept of this podcast was like seeing people on Twitter repost Letterboxd question of like, which favorite first watches did you have this
Mhm.
month? And then seeing everybody just like talk about the movies that they had seen for the first time and like very passionately talk
Mhm.
about the movies that they had seen for the very first
Yeah.
time. So that's kind of where this concept came
Mhm.
from. I just really enjoyed that part of it, and then having the conversations with people that enjoy movies like that.
Mhm.
And so that's why I asked that question now, because I guess it lets me get to know
Yeah.
people a
Well,
little bit. It's kind of like where their head is.
I love that, and also, I've never seen All That Jazz, so I will just it's on my watch list because it was talked about in a Discord that I'm in, and so I had added it, and so I even more reason to get to it now. But I definitely understand that you watch a movie, and that's the thing about Petite Maman and even Somnia movies that deal with like mothers and mother daughter relationships are very 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 special to me. My one of my favorite films, if not my favorite film of all time, is Lady Bird, and so
Oh, yeah.
any movie that deals with that is going to be very special to me, and so. Somnia now fits into that, and Petite Maman, and just any movie like that is special. So I definitely understand resonating, and I love one of the things that I do love about talking about films online, and Mitchell's not on Twitter, but I tell him everything that I just sometimes I just make him listen. I'll say, "This is what this person said, and this is what this person said." I love the same thing. I love every month watching, knowing that there are people out there who watch as many movies as I do and also take joy in like deciding which of those movies just really were the best of the best. It's so much fun. I love making lists and narrowing it down and deciding which ones were my favorite. And it's nice knowing that there are other people out there who are doing that, especially like I said, because we don't live in a very like film heavy community in real life. So having people on there, I'm like, wow, people do like movies and they love to they love to talk about movies, and other people like to collect movies. And so I also love that. And so we've really enjoyed talking to you as well because it's very obvious that you love film, and so that's very special to us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm glad that we got to do this. I'm glad that I finally reached out to you and meet you guys. Because I've only seen, you through, I guess, a username more than anything
yeah.
else. It was really cool to see something that you guys came together and made because you love film, because you love storytelling. That's special. That's something that not a lot of people can do or do, like, actually follow through with and finish the thing. So it's good that you guys actually stuck to it
Mhm.
and did the damn thing. And I think that you guys are gonna go far. Like, I really think that if you guys just keep going and going and going, there's gonna be something that comes from this for sure.
Mhm.
And I can't wait to see what that is. I wish that people can go ahead and see it now, but whenever that time does come, I will make sure that I go back and put the movie in the description and
Mhm.
everything. Like, I'm gonna put all of your guys' stuff in the description so everybody could find you anyways. But if you want to reiterate where you guys can be found.
Yeah, so we have a YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. They all should be under Fort Stoweville Productions.
Yeah, that's FORT Fort Stoweville STOWEVILLE Productions.
Cool, cool. Yeah,
And
nice.
soon, if you're following those, we'll talk about our short film and eventually we'll tell everybody what our next feature is going to be.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
We're very excited.
Awesome. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what it's going to be.
And when
Yeah,
everybody
like I said,
when everybody can
good.
when everybody can finally watch Somnia, you'll definitely hear from us. We'll
Yeah.
be telling every single person exactly how to watch it.
Yeah, no, I'll make sure that I blast it out into the, film Twitterverse or whatever, and I'll make sure that I, post it as much as I can wherever I can and stuff like that because I do want people to see this. They like support it financially and buy it on DVD, which by the way, as soon as it goes to physical, my ass is definitely buying it.
Awesome.
Much like you guys, I'm very much a physical media collector, so I've
Yeah.
gotta have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that we got to do this. I'm so glad that you guys did this movie. I can't wait for other people to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will. Okay, thank you for coming on. I had a really good time. Um, until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.